why are you attending the inauguration when so many elected officials are not?
Well, you know, I think that it's very important to honor our democracy, frankly. We have a history, a proud history of peaceful transition of power, and I think that has to be respected. And in fact, I'll say that I think part of the shame of what has happened in the past is people have not respected the office of the President of the United States. You know, we have in recent past many examples of where people have been incredibly disrespectful to President Obama in a way that is unbefitting of electeds.
Do you feel like the people who are the elected officials who aren't going are being disrespectful?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it is, for me, important to respect the transition and to be there and be a part of it. But I absolutely respect the decision that people have made not to go, and obviously it is well within their right. And I have no criticism of that. It's not my choice, but I have no criticism at all of the decision other people have made to not go.
Okay. I see you put out a statement saying you're going to be voting against the confirmation of Kelly.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, so do you care to elaborate on that a bit?
So I sit on the Committee of Homeland Security, and one of the responsibilities that I have for each of the committees that I'm on is to review whatever nominees come before that committee. Mm-hmm. General Kelly has come before the committee. I have spent time with him both in public and private. I have asked him questions in written form as well as verbally, and I am deeply concerned about his ability to protect our dreamers. So, and I'll say a few things in terms of the background. I've spent a great deal of time looking at his record, talking with him, asking him these questions. I've spent a great deal of time over many years working with and understanding how the Department of Homeland Security works. I have a great deal of support for the Department of Homeland Security's mission and purpose to protect our homeland. There could be no more important work and responsibility. And on the issue of dreamers. I also know, having worked for years on the issue of immigration and supporting the President, for example, with the executive action he took on DACA, that we have the largest number of those kids of any state in the country. In order for them to have qualified for DACA, the deferred action, they had to go through a strenuous and rigorous vetting, which included criminal background checks, which included making sure they were going to be productive members of our society, which included, you know, knowing that these are kids who are in our colleges, these are kids who are working in our Fortune 100 companies, these are kids who are working in small businesses, these are kids who are veterans or serving in the military. And so looking at and having an incredible amount of experience, frankly, on all of these issues, I know enough to know that there is an incredible amount of power that the Director of Homeland Security has on this issue, and when he cannot guarantee me, as I've asked, that he will honor the promise that we as a country made to those kids, I can't support him. I respect his record of service. I think there are a lot of strengths that he possesses, but on this issue, this is a California issue. And
are you concerned at all that California may be finding itself on the getting the short end of the stick when it comes to, say, federal infrastructure funds if we continue to put ourselves out there as the counterweight to Donald Trump?
You know, so during this, today actually, the U.S. Conference of Mayors is also in D.C.
We ran into Ed Lee.
Right, exactly. So the mayors of San Francisco and Los Angeles and Michael Tubbs, the newly elected mayor of Stockton, and a bunch of our California mayors have been visiting with me today. And we've talked about that. And we have talked about our concern that this administration may choose to punish California for supporting the idea that we're not going to deny essential services to anybody regardless of their immigration status. And we'll see what happens. There's the rhetoric and there were the statements that were made during the campaign. We'll see what happens when this administration takes office. I deeply, deeply hope that that was just rhetoric. But we have to be braced for the fact that when people say something, we have to hear them and believe them.
President-elect Trump has said that within the first 2 weeks of being inaugurated, he's going to put forth a nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now we know Merrick Garland didn't even get a hearing.
Right.
Regardless of who that person is, are you committed to at least giving that person a hearing? Regardless of whether there's ultimately a filibuster on the approval.
I'll give anyone fair consideration, but we'll
like a hearing, are you supportive of a nominee, regardless of who it is, having an actual hearing?
Yeah, at some point. Yeah, but as I was supportive of Merrick Garland, that he should have had a hearing at some point.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So for a lot of Democrats, this is the filibuster ability in the Senate is pretty much the hope, since this is Republicans are in control of so much else.
Mm-hmm.
What's your philosophy on using it? Are you prepared to be liberal with that, or do you think it should be reserved for extraordinary circumstances? How are you going to approach this weapon that a lot of people think are depending on?
That's a great question. It's a great question, and we'll see. I really don't know. I am prepared to use whatever tools we have and whatever is necessary to fight for the right thing. And I won't eliminate or exclude any of the tools that are available to do that. When it comes to fighting for our dreamers, when it comes to fighting for comprehensive immigration reform, when it comes to fighting to maintain California's laws around protecting our environment and against greenhouse gas emissions, I am prepared to use whatever tool is available to fight for that.